This is my 1992 Honda Goldwing 1500. I've been having some troubles with the alternator in it. It seems that this is a common problem with Goldwings, particularly if you do short, low-speed trips. The alternator doesn't provide enough power to charge the battery, particularly if you're running in the 60k zones and stopping frequently and using particularly the reverse, which pulls a fair amount of current, and the constant starting. The alternator that's in it, by some stats that I've been observing, is around 1500 revolutions, which is reasonable for the majority of city travel. Is only producing about 35 amps, whereas the alternator I'm going to show you in a moment and will be fitting would at that revs be up around the 60 to 70 amps. This is the new alternator I've purchased. It's called a CompuFire, and I don't know whether you can see on the chart here, possibly. I'll just get the light right. You can see here, there's that 1500 curve, and this particular one apparently delivers up to 90 amps. There's a few things to set up in it, not only the alternator itself, but you've got to make some modifications to the fuse and electrics of the bike. One of the main features of this is it has some temperature compensation for voltage, as well as a fairly integrated circuit that monitors and protects the battery. So all in all, not a bad device. And this is came over from the States. It was about $490, and I'll show you what it looks like. So in the box we get a few screws, a couple of extra fuses, and here we have a CompuFire alternator. It's not a bad device in its design. I've bought some rubber bushes that when I'm replacing this I'll fit in some new rubber bushes as well. So the first task is to remove the battery. I'm using a 10mm socket. Now the leads on these batteries are not bloody long enough. They say to do the earth first, but you can't get to it, particularly with this on. So I'll just be careful not to short out the positive. And pull that rubber back to expose the bolt. Put the 10mm socket on there. Make sure I don't earth anything. Loosen that. I do these up tight normally. So we got the bolt out of there, and the positives moved out of the way. Now the positives moved, you can swing the battery out, put it on the passenger's footrest, and of course it doesn't make any difference if you make contact with the earth, particularly with the positive off anyway. So I won't lose those. Actually I'll pop them back into the battery. These batteries are here in Australia around about $280, and I thought I was after a new one, but they tested it out and said it was okay. So it really is my riding style and the ineffectiveness of the current alternator We're going to actually replace this with a dual fuse later on. I'll do that later when I come back to this side. It's a little loose, I might just nip that up while I'm here. Oh, look at that. That's tight. Got the starter relay in behind there with a fuse, and that's about everything else. Right, now we'll head over to the other side for the alternator. So we're on the other side now, and I'll just go through pulling the covers off and we'll see where we're at. I've since put the bike up on the centre stand. That was quite easy, don't like that. Anyway, so here we have the original alternator. 1, 2, 3 bolts holding it in, and obviously the cables to be dealt with. So I'll get some tools ready and we'll start to remove the old alternator. There's a close-up view of the alternator. This is the original stock standard, and this is the one we'll be fitting straight in there. So about that orientation. It's quite a larger alternator in dimension, but apparently it still fits. Rightio, I've got a few tools together. 1/2 inch or 12 mil. Probably 12 mil is the correct one. Okay, so I've already loosened these a bit. And let's see if I can spin it out by hand. Next one. Alright. And we got one up in here which is a bit of a nuisance. This one I didn't loosen. But it is now. Yep. There's a sticker just there: before removing alternator cable, disconnect battery negative cable to prevent damage to the main fuse. Right, that's the 3 bolts. Bit of corrosion on that, I'll give that a clean up and a slight lube. Right, now this should break away. Let's see if I can get this alternator cable off. Looks like a 10 mil. I knew it wouldn't be very tight. Tight enough for a good grip. So spin that off. And lift the cable free from it. Okay, that's out of the way. What else is behind there? Really isn't anything else. The issue we got is there's bushes in those too. So they're sliding out on the bushes as well as the outer hub and O-ring assembly. So we'll just give it a bit more persuasion than what that little screwdriver. You can see the pin coming out there. I really need to do this level. That came out too far. Oh, that's better. That's probably a better way of doing it. Got it. Just bend that up, clip. Take the wire out of there. And disconnect it. And there's some instructions we'll follow right now. You can see in here, they're not too bad actually. They're quite hard. I'll pop them back in, but I've bought another set. So I don't know why you would only buy one, but I've bought a set of 4 because that's what's in there. Okay, what the instructions are telling me, that this capacitor or filter is not required on the new one, and it says to cut the wire because it's actually captive in that socket, you can't remove it, so there's an opportunity to join it again. I'm going to cut it about there, which frees up the alternator, and then tuck this wire, as it says, back up the sleeve, and that gets that out of the way. That's nice. Install a new Compi 5 alternator using the 3 original mounting bolts. Before installation, be sure the alternator drive dampers are in a vertical plus position. Put the back side of the alternator into the cavity first, and with the rear unused mounting tab at approximately 6 o'clock. When you have the alternator in the cavity, slowly rotate the tab until the tab is at 5 o'clock. The alternator should not require excessive force to install. Torque each bolt to 22 foot-pound. Connect the original ignition cable to the harness on the alternator using the tie strap supplied. I put it in about 4th, I guess. Back in neutral. Yeah, I put it in 4th and knocked it around with the rear wheel. So I'm going to get ready to install these new ones. May as well. I really don't know why you wouldn't buy these as a set of 4, but anyway. So I'll pull out the old ones. One. Oh, harder to come out than I thought. There we go. 2, 3, 4. 4 oldies. I'll put those there for now. And replace them with the newies. 1, 2, 3, 4. So they're the 4 that I've replaced. They just fit over that metal thing or moulding there. Then supposedly the alternator will go into those spaces there. Rightio. Oh, so it's a much bigger unit. So if I tuck that, as it says, oh, I've got to connect this. That's right, it says use a cable tie to secure it, just doesn't have a clip on it. So I think I'll just wrap it around there, or around there. No, it'll come off. This will be as good as. Right, snip off that excess. Well, that's one cable not to worry about. Don't know which way it should go there. I suppose Let's see how we go, putting it in as it says. Oh, it's a hard job. And that's immovable, what it's up against. So. Oh, there we go. Well, that looks like it's in. So, yeah, I think I'm going to have enough room to get at the back. I've still got another half inch or so, not half inch, about another quarter of an inch. There's the cable up there, that'll swing down to the back. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and I promised myself I wouldn't say I'm going to go ahead. It's an Aussie show. Well, I've done these bolts up finger tight. There's not a lot of clearance there, so you need to have a very slim collared socket. And because this isn't ratchet, I've got to change each square to get the distance. I'll do each one. Oh, this one's not too bad. So it's going in nicely. I did have a little ratchet of one of these, but I've lost it. No, there's no way of getting that around without doing that. Pulling it in evenly. Oh, it's nice and tight. Alright, that's tight. Go one more on this one. Now speed this one up and tighten that. So mechanically, the alternator is secure. So the bolt I've got to put the battery on. Cable is this one back here. The issue I'm battling with here is these splayed sides. The nut Right, that's nice and tight. Now fold that rubber boot back over. Beautiful. So we'll take this fuse out. For some reason they're giving it an extra screws. These are a bit shorter. We'll see whether we can get away with it. Oh, well, that didn't get caught up anywhere, so that's good. Right, so we need to install a new fuse, a washer, a new fuse again. And I reckon these old ones will be long enough because they've got nice spring washers on them. I'm going to use them. There's plenty of room. Okay, now slip a washer in between those two. Put the screw in. That's looking lovely. Yeah, everything's looking good. So tighten that up and tighten that one up. Nice and tight. There's a check them all. Okay, now they've got the spacer between them, so in effect I've got a 110 amp fuse in there now. Now the 55 I took out, and there happens to be one inside the cover, so I'm going to put that one and that one both in there and close to use those. That reads caution, this bike is equipped with a 90 amp hour and 250 are required. Must use spaces between fuse links. And that looks like it sticks in there, so I'll peel that off. There's my fuse cover. So I got that in there. Just for a warning of someone that is dealing with this other than me. Oh, for the battery. Make sure the ignition's off. I'm going to connect the positive earth first for the aforementioned reasons. Right, nice and tight. Get this cover to go over there. Don't worry too much, because if I need to get the charger in there. Everything's nice and comfortable, nothing's touching. And throwing the screw away. Oh no. Oh, got it. This screw's been undone done and done up quite a number of times. Hopefully less as a result of this new alternator. So that's it. I might put that sticker there just alright, I'll see whether she's going to start up now. Everything's right. Ignition on. Oh, still got the kill switch on. We'll just see what the voltage is like. So it's 13.7 at idle, 14.5, yeah, 14.4 at idle, that's good. And it drops back to 13.6. 5. That'll drop down to about 12. That's pretty good. That's very, very good, in fact. Should have tested the old one before I started. Anyway, all's well. Hopefully I won't get stranded sitting in a car park waiting for RACV, who refuses to jumpstart bikes and brings in a tray truck to move them. It's only had to do that once. And luckily, the guy that turned up with the tow truck was having trouble trying to secure this sort of bike down, so he got his jumper leads out and started it. Well, what do you know? Alright, I'll pop this side back on. That side's done. So, that looks like the complete job to me. I hope I've helped someone in doing it themselves. Made a few mistakes along the way, but that's what it's about. Bye.